So EC2 refers to the server virtualization layer plus the physical thing. So hypervisor concept is what EC2 is all about. Okay, so here the virtual machine is equivalent to instances, and you get a lot of resizable compute capacity with EC2. So you can increase and decrease based on your consumption. So there are a couple of pricing options. So in general, when it comes to EC2, you are generally priced per hour, but then for certain workloads like Linux workloads, you also get a per minute billing. So it is like billed per minute. So it is priced per hour, but then it is billed per minute. So meaning you are you will get a rough estimation for 1 hour, maybe like let's say $3 is the price. Okay, and then if you are just running it for 10 minutes or 20 minutes, so you just have to pay the portion of the amount. I mean whatever you are run for 20 minutes, right? Not for the entire 60 minutes. So if you're running for only 20 minutes, so obviously it is only $1 consumption out of the 3 hour pricing per hour, right? It is 1 by 3, one third only you have run, right? So 20 minutes out of the 60 minutes you have consumed only 20 minutes, so you just have to pay for per minute. But the first per hour, right? The first entire hour is billable completely, and then the subsequent consumption is what you will get generally benefits from. For the first 1 hour, like it is you run it for a couple of minutes or a few minutes, irrespective of that, you are going to get charged for the first hour. But then after that, you are going to be billed per minute based on the actual consumption. So if you are running for only 10 minutes, you have to just pay for that 50 cents or whatever uh, as per the rate of the virtual machines or the virtual server instances here. So AWS is offering a lot of resizable compute. So there is a lot of options to choose from. They call it as instance type. Okay, so instance type here refers to your compute capacity. Okay, so EC2 instance type. So it is a combination of different things. So you have CPU, memory, network, storage, and all those things, right? And we have to choose whatever is the best fit for our application requirement. So how do we go about choosing this, right? That is where the challenge is. There is a lot of, I would say, like there are 200 plus or 250 plus options, instance type. I will also log into the console, so that way we will parallelly check what I'm talking about. Just a second. So as usual, don't hesitate to ask any questions if in case you are not clear. YD.
Yeah, sure, Shanti.
Yeah. So let me reshare my screen just to copy the code. Okay, I've logged in. Okay, fine. So here we are talking about EC2. So EC2 is the virtual server in the public cloud of Amazon. In AWS, EC2 refers to the virtual servers or the virtual machines. So whatever, as I said, whenever you are going for running a particular service or when you are running choosing a particular product, always check which region you are connected to, so that you create it in the appropriate region as the business is trying to run their application. right? So here, when you're talking about EC2 instances, so you go and create a EC2 instance virtual machines for your business application need. So whatever the business application demands, you will go and choose the instance type. So instance type, here you will see a lot of options. Let's see how many. 538 instant types are there. As a solutions architect, you will have a lot of challenges in order to choose these options. So out of this 538, you have T series, you have A series, C series, and so on, right? You can see there is a lot of options, and there is a lot of console here. Even you could see G series, M series, and so on. So all these have a specific meaning. All this have a specific sizing criteria. So what that is all about, right? Let's go and understand it. See, when it comes to general purpose, so your application does not need too much of CPU or too much of memory, and you don't know what exactly is going to be the consumption for your application. So initially, generally, we will start with the general purpose category. So it will have a even um, sizing of CPU, memory, and other hardware resources. So over the period, maybe after 1 month or 2 months, you will know what exactly is the consumption in terms of CPU and memory, and you can go and change the instance type when you understand the application's usage pattern. Right, when you understand the application's usage in terms of CPU, memory, and what kind of application, obviously, initially you'll have a discussion with application owners and the business application technical owner, but then if they don't know what exactly to suggest, then you go and choose whatever is the best fit for your application need. So here compute, from the name itself you can see C refers to compute. So if you see some instance categories starting with C, then it refers to compute, sorry, yeah, compute. And then if you see something which starts with G, then it refers to GPU. So if you have something which starts with I or maybe M, so that refers to memory, and then I refers to storage, input, output. So there is a relationship with the first character of the instance type. So I think I have a slide here. So yeah, T refers to tiny, and then M refers to memory, C refers to compute, R refers to RAM, X refers to extreme processing, P for I mean, there are some abbreviations, and AWS has named it as per the stuff. So if something starts with M, then that means it is memory optimized instance type. If you look at the memory sizing here, so for one CPU, you are getting almost 4 times the CPU, sorry, 4 times the memory here. And that is the ratio here, right? Kind of 1:4. So in memory optimized instance type, you will get a lot of memory per CPU. Whereas if you are talking about compute instance, let's say C, the instance is starting with C. So you are getting only 1:2 ratio here. So if you look at 128 CPU, I'm selecting the virtual CPU here, right? And the memory that you get for per CPU is only 1:2 ratio mostly, right? So in compute, you get a lot of compute power uh, against the ratio of memory, right? Kind of 1:2. But then when you're talking about memory optimized, you get a lot of memory in memory optimized resources, because the intention is like 1:4. You will see most of the cases, it will be 1:4 kind of thing. So in memory optimized, you get a lot of memory against each CPU, whereas in compute optimized, you get a lot of compute power against the memory. It will not be double the memory anytime. See, you have been using computers for a very long time, right? So you will go for one CPU with 8 GB of RAM, or two CPU with 16 GB of RAM. That is the ratio that you have been using your computer. So there has been never a situation where memory will be lower than the CPU. So obviously memory will be very high in capacity compared to each of the CPU, but the CPU processing power has drastically increased or drastically changed over the period. There has been a lot of providers in terms of the technology, and even the product manufacturer, the Intel, AMD, they have been the two major providers when it comes to processors, right? So there has been a lot of processors from Intel, like Intel Haswell or Skylake, so EPYC processors, and AMD Athlon, and different variants are there, and there are different generations as well. So you need to understand what is the latest generation, what is the sizing that it provides. The reason I'm telling about that, see, there is a number next to the first character. So second refers to the generation, whether it is the latest generation or whether we are using the old generation. So for example, maybe in memory you might have the DDR2, DDR3, and all those things, right? So the second character refers to the generation, whether we are using the latest generation or not. See, always go for the latest generation. The latest generation might be sometimes little highly chargeable, but the servicing cost will be less. But if you're going for second hand product, right? So even if you're buying purchasing a car or purchasing something, the initial rate might be less, but then the annual maintenance contract or the problem that it generates and the amount and the time that you spent on the used devices is very high, right, compared to a new device. So here in public cloud also always go for the latest generations. Most of the cases, 90% of the cases, the pricing will also be cheaper, and you will also get better uh, performance, better features, better performance characteristics, and so on. So instance type refers to the amount of CPU, memory, storage, and network that you need for your business application. CPU, memory, storage, and network that you need for your application. And whether it is a ARM processor application or whether it is going to be a 32-bit or 64-bit. So in public cloud, you mostly get 64-bit options. So obviously you have to plan for it. And here, the t-shirt size is the like whatever the name itself, it's the t-shirt sizing, right? So you have small, medium, large, XL, and so on, right, for your t-shirts. Similarly, here in cloud, they have a sizing category. So if you're talking about M4 large, it is 2 CPU and 8 GB of RAM. If it is extra large, it is double that large capacity, and it is 2x large, and then it is 4x large. So large is this, and then extra large, 2x large, 4x large. So it exponentially increases based on the t-shirt sizing. The characters after the dot, it refers to the t-shirt sizing of the particular category of instance type. So all the numbers here, all the letters here, it has a meaning. It has a particular message to convey. So as a solutions architect, you need to understand which one will be a best fit for the application. If the business owner says, I need a lot of memory, I need a lot of storage input output for my application, or I need a lot of processing power and so on. So ideally, you will, as a solutions architect, you need to choose the wisest option. So generally, as a solutions architect, you start with general purpose for the applications where you don't know what is exactly needed, whether you need a very high CPU, whether it is a memory intensive application, whether it is a network intensive application, or whether it is a storage intensive application. If you're not aware of what the application behavior is, then you can generally start with the general purpose, where you have a balanced amount of CPU, memory, and networking. So for example, a small web server or a proof of concept or testing or any development activities or any staging applications or line of business applications or less critical application systems, you can go for general purpose. So general purpose is where you can start with if the business owner has no clue on what kind of application it is, and you can start as a baseline or an option from the general purpose, because this can be converted to any type of resources later. So that is the reason it is the baseline option or the burstable option, where you have the flexibility to go and convert it or change it to a different category later. But obviously, when you are upgrading from C4 to C5 or within the same instance family, you need only less downtime, because the instances can get converted on the same physical server. For example, if you are changing from one instance family to another instance family, the same physical hardware might not have the GPU or graphics processing that you are looking for, or it might not have the technology that you are looking for. So your virtual machines will have to get migrated from one physical hardware to another physical hardware in certain cases where the downtime involved is little higher, right? So if you're starting with some of your less critical applications, or maybe if you are creating a jump server or terminal server or remote desktop system, so you can start with general purpose because it is cost effective. And behind the scene, AWS uses technologies like Intel Broadwell processors or Intel AVX processor, which is comparatively cheaper against the processor that they use in compute optimized. So in compute optimized, the customer is choosing this to have as much as CPU performance for the application. So obviously they have to invest on the best CPU product that they have on the market. So they will go for Intel Skylake or Intel Broadwell processors. So that way they can provide you the best of the CPU technologies, features, and functionalities like hyper-threading and so on. So CPU ratio will be very higher for any applications where there is a lot of since network level traffic like web servers or application servers where there is a lot of network related transaction. Obviously when there is a lot of network input output or network capacity being consumed, the CPU usage will be high for those systems. So when you're doing a lot of batch processing or when you're doing a lot of gaming related activities without much of a graphics and so on, so CPU consumption will be very high. So network and CPU are closely related. When network transactions are high, CPU usage will also increase. So for those systems where like web servers or very heavy load application systems or very heavy load web servers or medium sized web servers, you can go for compute optimized. That is the best option for network appliances or batch processing. So if you are running some network riverbed appliances or like network related virtual machines, you can go for compute optimized again. And AWS also uses a different hardware technology on the physical server like Intel Skylake processor for the compute optimized category. When it comes to memory, so from the name itself, you can understand memory is all about I mean, the memory is heavily demanded by the systems like database servers or SAP NetWeaver systems or SAP. When there is a lot of data sets, when there is a lot of processing that is needed at the data level, the memory that is needed will be very, very high. So here for the memory optimized instances, so R stands for RAM, right? The random access memory, and there are some new technologies which has got when there are new advanced technologies in memory. So there are some series like X series and so on. So this is mainly for data warehousing, databases, wherever when your application needs in-memory analytics or analytics related applications, or when your application needs a lot of caching. So there will be a lot of memory need. So for those applications, you can suggest to go for memory optimized. In memory optimized, so memory technology, whatever they have latest and greatest, they will use the latest memory technology. But when it comes to processors, they might use the AMD processor, which is very cheaper, so that you get a less cost for that particular system. So there are other categories like storage, GPU, and so on. So those are all even beyond that. There is something called accelerated computing. So accelerated computing is mainly for application which needs a lot of application streaming, or maybe there is an application where it does a lot of video rendering like Netflix systems, or when you are doing a live streaming of a particular event like a prime minister giving a speech to the entire country, or there is a live event that is going on like what happened in yesterday, like there was a air show in Chennai, right? So there is a lot of video streaming rendering that is happening. So there is a lot of acceleration in terms of computing that is needed. Even not just that example, right? Even there are applications like weather modeling systems, or applications that are used in genomic labs or chemical labs. They are all very highly compute consuming resources where you need turbo boosting or hyper threading, hardware acceleration, and so on. So what AWS does is they use a lot of technology behind the scene to provide that accelerated computing for you. So this is mainly for your application where there is a lot of graphics rendering, graphics processing, and so on. So like Apache Spark or MPA application, or weather modeling system. So these are all see, when you are looking at the weather modeling, so it will have a lot of data sets to analyze and provide you the result, right? Or how the cyclone is moving, or what is going to happen for the next couple of days in terms of weather. So there is a lot of computing or computational things happening behind the scenes. So you need a accelerated computing instance type, so you can go and utilize it. So there are different categories, like even GPU also is there, right? So GPU refers to your technology like NVIDIA card, or the systems that has got the GPU optimized resources in it. So wherever your line of business, it needs graphics processing, or if your application, if you have a gaming application or similar things where you have a lot of GPU optimized resourcing, you can go for the GPU instance type. So let me go to the console. Okay, so you also have IE there, right? So X is again there. Also, see, if you are going for higher capacity of memory, you also get a lot of speed in terms of the network. Okay, always keep eye on all the four categories, not just limited to your CPU and memory. Always have a look at the storage and networking sizing as well. So let's see if I have missed anything. Okay, I is there, right? So I refers to input output. Okay, so here it is. So
Stan,
yeah, go ahead.
just one. You are literally on the console now, right? What you're
Hmm.
sharing,
Hmm.
is it? No.
Yeah. I'm
Yeah.
on
So
the
this is
actual
all
AWS
what
console.
your
Yeah.
subscriptions.
No,
I
no,
mean,
everyone will see
these
the
are the
same.
things what you subscribe.
No,
Oh, is it?
everyone
I
will
mean,
see the
this
same.
is a general information.
Yes. This is what
Okay,
you will
okay,
also see
okay,
when you log in. Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
Thanks.
So I refers to input output storage, right? Input output means per second how much input and output you can perform for your application. It is the metrics, right? So wherever your application is looking for low latency, or if you need a lot of reads and writes in a few seconds, where your application has to be very data sensitive and data efficient, you need a faster read and write. So, for example, applications like the data warehousing application or big data systems, or your applications like NoSQL databases like Cassandra, MongoDB, Redis caching. So these are all application OLTP application, right? There is a lot of transactions happening. There is a lot of distribution of your data. So there is the data warehousing systems. They all need a lot of data related applications. You can go for the IO optimized or storage optimized systems. And when you have a lot of big data or dense storage requirement, you can also go for dense storage instance type. So whatever I'm sharing here, these are all applicable for all the customers. Every customer will see all these instance types. And so the dense storage, from the name itself, it is very clear, right? It's mainly for the file servers or the data warehousing systems or the applications like Hadoop, where there is a lot of sensitivity on the data. So you can go for the dense storage option. So that is how, as a solutions architect, you have to choose which one will be the best for your customers. And there are certain instance type which also supports hibernation, like in like your laptop and stuff. You might be doing something and you want to save some cost. There are certain applications which also have the hibernation feature, right? Not all of them will have it. For example, let me show you. Let's say C4 dot large. Okay, so let me remove this. So you can see that this has the hibernation support. So some customers will also ask you whether this particular instance type supports hibernation, whether this instance type has the dedicated host support option, whether you have the Zen hypervisor or KVM hypervisor. So different application owners or business owners will have some questions. So most of the details will be available in the details section. So especially the hibernation support, dedicated hardware support, hypervisor support. Some application might be legally demanding that this virtual machine has to run on a dedicated hardware and so on. So at that time, you need to confirm whether this instance type supports it. For example, if you go for the other series, right? Let's say X series or something. So X1 or something like that. So here, obviously, there won't be a support for hibernation. So not all the instance type supports the same level of features. So the features, the use cases, the functionalities will differ from instances to instances. Some instances will have hibernation support, some will have dedicated host support, and different additional functionalities. So this is how you have to choose the instance type for the business applications for your customers. So any questions so far on that?
So what is dedicated host support,
I'll come
Stan?
to that. I'll come to that. I have not covered it.
Okay.
So dedicated host is under the purchasing option. I will explain it today only. Yeah. So any
Okay.
questions on the instance type? See, always go for the latest generation. So latest generation will have the best of the technology, best of the physical hardware, best of the capacity, performance, and all those things. Okay, always go for the latest one. unless there is a drastical cost difference between the oldest generation and new generation. So 90%, 95%, the newer generation will be cheaper. Okay, but in some cases, in except there might be exceptions where there will be some cost difference. So if the customer says I don't want to increase the budget for my application, then as a solutions architect, you have to suggest that this looks costlier than what you are currently consuming, and you have to get the approval before you go and do it. But then everyone will be interested in optimizing the cost, performance, and all those things. So if there is a cost reduction, then they will be happy to approve it if the features and functionalities whatever they are using is supported on the newer generation, right? So general purpose, again, these are some of the use cases, like you can use it for small
Stan,
scale. Yeah, go ahead.
Stan Sridharan here. Uh, do you have any instance type specific for the workplaces,
Okay, so
the workplace
work
VMs?
workplace, it is offered as a separate
Yeah.
option. Okay, so this is not coming under the EC2
Okay.
category. Workspace is a separate
Okay.
feature. It is for the virtual desktops, right? We are talking about virtual servers
Mm.
here. So virtual servers is
Okay.
different. EC2 is about
Mm.
virtual server.
Mm.
Workspaces is about virtual
Okay.
desktop. So in virtual desktop, there is a
Desktop.
different
Okay.
sizing, different options that are available where you go for.
Understood. Okay.
Yeah, yeah. So we'll discuss that little later. So we are talking about virtual server. The question is all about desktop, virtual desktop. That is different.
Thank you.
Okay, so yeah, so in an instance type, general purpose is very common. Okay, you can use it for these different use cases, and compute wherever you need a lot of network processing and compute processing, like the use cases listed here. So this is for a general guidance, right? If you're a solutions architect, if someone comes to you and say, I want to run a distributed analytics application, then obviously your mind will say compute. So similarly, if someone comes to you and say, I want to run databases or big data analytics, your mind should say memory optimized. This is something which you will get used to it over the period. Over the period, you will see a lot of customer applications or utility applications where you need to mix and match or specifically select for the workload. So the screens are getting recorded. So you can also use this as a reference when you are put into that situation. So choosing an instance type, it is definitely challenging. You have 500 plus options to choose from, but again, it is very easy if you are practicing the solutioning for different customers over the period. From the mind itself, you can start choosing what is best, what can be chosen based on the options that you got. So always go for the latest generation, latest instance type, so the performance and the cost will be much better. When it comes to AWS, they also provide you a tool called Compute Optimizer, which helps you, which guides you, which gives you the best practice option recommendations, which resource will be the best option based on the last 60 months or last 30 days, sorry, last 60 days or 30 days consumption. So over the period, so there will be a monitoring that is happening on the back end. So it will go and check what kind of resource consumption your workload is taking, and basically it understands the trend or the pattern of your application or your workload, and then it gives you a recommendation. So it will say current instance type is this, you can change it to this particular type, where you have done a over provisioning or whether you have under sized it. So you can also go and filter it based on the findings. So Compute Optimizer is a tool that AWS provides you if you have provisioned a resource, and then later I mean, as a engineer, you will have a lot of other things to take care of. So AWS provides you a native tool which can help you to guide, which will give you recommendations for under provision, over provision, or wherever the optimization is needed. It will give you the finding plus the current and the recommended type. You can go to the customer, and then it will also have detailed information on what will be the benefits, what kind of features and functionalities will be there after conversion, and all those things. You can click on the view detail option, and then you can suggest the same to the business owner, application owner, create a change request, and then downsize it or upgrade it to get the appropriate level of capacity for your workload or application. So Compute Optimizer is the best tool for the solutions architect. You don't have to do a lot of manual work, or you don't have to go into your ITSM tools like ServiceNow or any monitoring tool. And instead of that, AWS provides a native tool which gives you the recommendations on how to deal with EC2 right sizing, or how to deal with the instances which are over provisions or under provision. So that is how
So
the instance
is it a
type.
cost effective, Stan? How
It is
about
a
that compute
cost.
optimizer, right?
Okay, Rajendra. Okay, so it is okay. So it involves a bit of cost because there is an algorithm that runs for you and so on. So it is not free of cost. Obviously, there is a pricing for it. Let me tell you how much pricing. Oh, okay, so it says there is no additional charge for compute optimizer. Okay, let me. So the recommendations looks like it's free now. Okay, earlier it used to be a little chargeable. So now it looks like it is completely free of cost. And again, it needs at least
Okay.
minimum 14 days of utilization or monitoring. Only then it will start providing the recommendation. So it will not start providing the recommendation in 2 days consumption, because your workload at least need 2 weeks minimum. And obviously the best practice is to wait for 1 month or 2 months to understand the pattern, because some applications they might use once in a month or once in a quarter during the high sales and so on. So not every applications are the same. So this particular cost optimizer tool looks like it is a no additional charge tool when it comes to using that application. You are just paying for the additional instance using Rajadurai.
Thanks, Stan.
Okay, so let's move on to the purchasing options if there are no other questions. So this is where we are going to talk about the dedicated host option, which you were asking about. Okay, so purchasing or pricing, right? So pricing philosophy from AWS. So it is all about variable expense, right? It is operational expense model. And when you are consuming more, when you are using a lot of volume, lot of consumption,